everything reminds me of him. So it's like, when am I going to get used to this?
My name is Dami. I'm 27 and I'm here because I lost my big sister um, lots of years ago, actually. Yeah, is that enough?
Hi everyone, my name is Faith. Originally Ghanaian. I'm here because I've recently lost my dad. I think it was a month on 22nd of, what month are we in? October. So yeah.
My name's David. I'm from South London. I'm here because I recently lost my uncle and my cousin. So.
Okay, my name is Shanique Jackson. I am 29. I was born in Jamaica. I'm here because my mum's been missing for over 22 years. So yeah, the eyes.
Wow.
So yeah.
So for me, my sister, when it happened, it was probably about 17 years ago now. I was 9 years old, and she didn't die initially. So she got hit by a car on her way to work. So that's the first call we got from the police that, she's been in an accident. They didn't tell us how bad it was, but just from like the franticness of my dad, I could tell that it was bad. But I was still pretty young, so I couldn't really understand. She was ill for a while. She was in ICU. And then on the fourth day she passed. And then I feel like because for the 4 days we just didn't know what to expect. So I was like really praying, and I just really did think she was going to pull through. I think my parents knew that it just wasn't looking good, but I just had so much faith that things were going to be fine, and we were gonna have a miracle. So when I found out that she passed, I think I just went numb because I just couldn't believe that she actually died. Because in my heart, I just thought she was going to be fine. But I think that was probably because I was so young and so naive.
While I was at work, I was literally just doing rounds on campus, just checking rooms to make sure everything was good before our students moved in. Then while I was leaving one of the rooms, I got a call back from one of my brothers. So the network wasn't so great. So the moment he started talking, he was like, Junior. So at home they call me Junior. Junior, you see, when we told you that dad was ill, then the line cut. I don't know how the line cut at that time, but it did. From there, I just knew that that was what was going to follow. I called him back, he wasn't answering. Then later on, one of my other brothers called back. Then they said, oh, dad has passed away. The initial thought at the time was, because I had not seen him for 3 years. I got married. I think I went to Ghana to do my traditional wedding in July 2018. And I had my wedding in September 2018. He was supposed to come, but he couldn't come. So since I've been married, I've not actually seen him. He's not seen my then girlfriend, who is now my wife. He's not seen how the relationship has grown, nothing of that sort. So we're going to see him in January. So my first thought was, well, why could he not wait? We were just going to come see you in January. So it was just me having to think about the fact that we actually did not get to see him. I've not seen him in over 3 years, and that's it. I'm not gonna see him fully active again, if that makes sense.
My youngest uncle got sick from having COVID. So obviously I'm kind of like surprised almost because like he's like my hip uncle, do you know what I mean? He's like proper, he's the closest in age to me. We were meant to go down there on a Friday to go and have like, just go and see him and be with him. Then I got the phone call saying that they've pulled the machine that was keeping him breathing. So obviously he passed away. Initially, the feeling was shock. I'll probably say intense shock for me because I've lost people before, but because of it's weird. You kind of feel like they're immortal, like your uncles and your aunties and stuff like that. You kind of almost feel like nothing could happen to them, and this kind of showed me that anyone is vulnerable.
So for me, it's complex in the sense of there's no to say, okay, she died on that day or she's buried here or we had a funeral. There's no real closure. So I think obviously my mom being missing has always been my reality. So as a child, you have to kind of process that, and then in teenage life, you have to process that, and then as an adult, and then as a mother, and as a, like, do you know what I mean? So there's so many phases in your life that you really have to process grief and loss and absence and stuff. So I think it's just this continual thing that you kind of have to adapt to.
What advice would you give to anyone who has lost someone they love?
Remember to grieve and not be so focused on what's going on around you or what life is saying and stuff like that, but actually allow yourself to understand what's happened and actually live in that moment. If you have to cry, cry. If you have to shout, shout. Whatever you have to do to sort of feel whatever it is that you're feeling in that moment is very important that you do.
I would say feel the emotions through. That's something for me that I wasn't good at before. And I feel like this year has really kind of shown me that it's necessary. You kind of have to come to terms with things because if not, you just end up going and just kind of being in a denial kind of space.
I think it's a lot about surrendering. So surrendering to the everything, like the reality of the situation. Because I think sometimes when we're in denial, we can just pretend or reject and not accept the reality and the truth of what something is and how it's actually made you feel. So it's like, and I think especially within our culture, we don't know how to accept and to grieve and to process and to be honest with, okay, this is really messing me up, or this is really just, this has changed me. Do you get me? And we have to be accepting of the truth of that.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said. Basically, allow yourself to be upset if you want to be upset and just let your emotions take over, and also surround yourself with people that you love and you trust, because when you're alone and you're grieving, so many things can, you can get so many thoughts that aren't helpful or healthy. So for me, it's really important to surround yourself with good people.
And not to let it define you as well, because I think sometimes with grief, we can allow the anger and the resentment and the hurt to just consume us, and it defines us, and it doesn't have to define us.
This one says, how often do you think about the loved one you lost? Shall I start? Pretty much every day for me. Like my missus was making corned beef stew, and I could remember growing up, it was me, my older brother, and my dad. That at the time we didn't have the others with us. And one thing I remember we used to do, as my dad and I used to do, was he would get corned beef uncooked, raw as it is in the tin. He will open it, me and him will be sitting on the sofa and we'll be eating it raw like that. And those are kind of the things that like I keep on remembering, because those are the things that made him my father, like those things. And it makes me think like these are the things that when I have my kids, I have to make sure that these are the things that they would remember when I'm not around, not the, oh, I was angry with you, or we had an argument, or this or that, but the good times, making sure there's enough good times to cover the bad times that we might have, just so that when I'm off, you have something good to remember me by. So yeah.
I'm weird. I try not to think about it a lot, but if I was honest, probably every day. The main reason, I think, the last conversation me and my uncle had before he passed, obviously I do music, so he was encouraging me, because obviously he moved out of London. So he was just encouraging me that when he next comes down to London, he'll come to one of my performances or my shows or whatever I'm doing. So that was the last time we spoke on the phone. So obviously leaving, it was obviously a nice way to leave things on, obviously, you know what I mean? It's encouraging, you know, he's just showing up like he'd always, but like whenever I kind of listen to music or do anything in relation to it, he'll cross my mind. So pretty frequent, I'd say, nearly every day.
So for me, I think for most of my life, I mourn the idea of her, because obviously I don't remember her. I don't necessarily have that memory with her. Or I didn't necessarily grow up with her. So for me, I was mourning the idea of a person. And I think it's just as detrimental as mourning somebody that, you know, you physically had an experience with. So I think that was my biggest issue. And I think for a long time, I was very angry because it wasn't fair. Do you get me? Everybody gets their mum and everybody gets their family, and that's not fair and that's not right. And again, there's no closure, so there's no one to answer to. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was me.
I think I thought about my sister a lot in the beginning. So around the time she died, I'd think about her all the time. And it just overwhelmed me because I was so young and I didn't really understand death. I'd just be so worried, like, I wonder where she is or what she's doing and is she okay? And that really used to bother me. But as I've gotten older, I think about her less, not not as much as I used to before, but it's the little things that just remind me of her. So like, I've got 2 brothers. I've got one younger and one older brother. And like in our group chat, when they're like ganging up on me, I just think, oh, if my sister was here, she'd have my back. Or when my friends are doing things with their sisters and having, you know, like times with their sisters and memories and just nice things with your sisters, you know, like the kind of conversations you'll have with your sister, or if I needed advice and stuff like that, like, oh, I wish my sister was here, or I wish I had someone to talk to, or, you know, someone that could advise me, because she was much older. So yeah, it's just the little things for me.
Does it get easier? Can I answer that? This is an interesting question, actually. Does it get easier? I'll say, like for me, I'm very familiar with loss, I'll say. So to say does it get easier is hard to answer in a very straightforward way. I feel like it becomes easier to adapt to the change, but the loss itself, you know, that person was a part of your life, a part of your reality, and now they're no longer there physically. So I'll say it becomes more manageable. Easier, I wouldn't necessarily say I can agree that it becomes easier. You just kind of know how to live without that person's presence being there, as opposed to it becoming actually easier.
Yeah.
I think for me it was harder as I got older again. So it's like, especially when I became a mother, it was like, oh, I don't necessarily have that mother figure to mirror off of. Do you know what I mean? So that was hard in that sense. But then I think if anything, her absence, it taught me to be present in every aspect of my life. Do you get what I'm saying? And it gave me that, I was adamant that I have to be present no matter what. Do you know what I mean? So
I would have said I thought it does get easier, but even like today, I feel like I'm shaking and I feel emotional. So, like you said, I do feel like it becomes more manageable. You just learn how to deal with the days as they come. Like you said, I'm very familiar with loss. Even last 2 months ago, I lost my grandma, and she was literally my last grandparent. So, with that, I was upset. But I think because loss has been so common in my life, I've just learned how to take my time to be upset and then just literally get on with it.
I wouldn't be able to say, because to me, it's still fresh. So everything reminds me of him. So it's like, when am I going to get used to this? Right now, to me, it doesn't seem possible that it's going to be easier.
would you say you have healed? Truthfully, not necessarily, but I would say that I'm making peace with the reality of the situation. I'm learning to accept my story in order to accept myself, because I think with not knowing a mom, it gave me a lot of issues with, you know, my self-worth and who I thought I was as a woman and who I'm supposed to be as a woman and stuff like that. So I think healing, I think, yeah, you do heal in some element, but I think for me, I'm learning to make peace with it and myself.
Yeah, like grief is one of them things that do you really heal from it, because like someone that was important to you, like a pivotal part of your life is gone. So I would say it's no, but at the same time, it's like a constant ongoing management of this change, of this new way of having to kind of live and be, because obviously life doesn't stop, do you know what I mean? So you kind of have to keep going. But I wouldn't say I have healed from it. It is still quite fresh. It's like 6 months, you know, since my uncle passed, and 3 months since my cousin. So I would say that I haven't really healed from it, but I'm healing from it, so to speak.
I keep on having to come to terms with the fact that this is going to be my reality now, and this is it. He's gone. But that's the thing, though. With yours, I find that even much more. I find that worse than mine, because you don't have closure. Like, that's crazy. You can't say, okay, she's gone, so I can, mourn it and be done with it or whatever. But yeah, that's tough.
I feel like because it's been so long, I am better now than I was obviously when it happened. But sometimes I do find myself that I'm still really upset when her anniversary comes around or when her birthday comes around. I'm in bits. And then I wonder, have I actually healed? But it is a process. I feel like it's made me have like a new lease on life. So I'm much more grateful, much more intentional about my relationships and time with my family. So it's a process.
When did you start to feel normal again, and how did the experience of death change you?
I don't think I felt normal for a long time, if I'll be honest with you. I've kind of just, like I said before, like adapted. But I think when you first lose anyone, it's like a big shift in your life, do you know what I mean? Because you've grown up, your friends are there, your mum's there, your family's there, your sisters, siblings, whatever, and then someone just goes. There was no warning given, nothing. And it's like you have to kind of figure out how to continue on from that. There's not like a manual or anything, especially like a teenager, you don't know how to deal with it. So that being the first thing that happened and the following deaths, I don't think I've been normal or felt 100% normal for a very long time. Like I said, for me, I've just learned how to manage and kind of push my life forward with those people no longer being a physical part of that.
For me, it was always my normal. That was just my life. That was my reality growing up. But I think obviously, you see, when you get older, you can decide what you want for your life and again how it defines you. So it's like now I'm choosing that my normal is going to be healthy or that my normal is going to be constructive. But I think when I was young, I allowed it to define me. Like I was very angry and resentful. But it's like now as an adult, I'm choosing for my normal to be healthy and to be productive and purposeful.
As I've gotten older and more people have passed, I've just realised that death is a part of life, and it's not something I should take personally because it happens to everybody, or at least everyone will experience it at one point. But I think it has changed me, and from a very young age.
I sometimes just make myself numb so I don't have to feel. I think that's the only change that so far. But it's something I'm going to have to work through, so I don't have to be doing that because I don't think that's healthy at all.
Yeah, I'll say advice I'll give to anybody who's dealing with grief is to make sure that you have a good network of people or support system, whether it's friends or family or both, who you can kind of open up to and vent to, or even like a therapist or someone who's going to be non-judgmental and going to be open-minded to whatever emotions you're probably going to be dealing with.
I would say don't allow it to define you. Again, I will always push that because, again, it's so easy to allow these things to consume you, and then we turn it into anger and resentment and hate and jealousy and all these things, and it just gets so busy and so messy. But it's like, just find the purpose in it some way, somehow, and just don't allow the bad to define you and to turn you into a bad person, because I think we're all good, and it's life that turns us into these things that we're not actually. It's just the after effect of things that make us into things we're not. So just always find the good in it.
I think I would say allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. So if it's pain, anger, sadness, whatever it is, allow yourself to feel it. Don't become numb to it, or don't push it away, or just allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling with that. But in so doing as well, just learn how to manage it. So if you're angry, it doesn't mean that go around just hitting people or getting violent and stuff like that. Find a healthy way of, expelling that energy or that pain or that anger.
I'll say I enjoy it because it's a good space to kind of talk about this, because it's not something that is like an everyday conversation. You don't just talk about grief amongst your friends, like kind of morbid kind of thing. But I feel like it's good to touch on it because, especially like in the melanated community, this is something that when it comes around, people are kind of made to feel like we always have to be strong about everything. We always have to be, I'm able to cope and nothing can get me down. But realistically, we're human beings at the end of the day. And when you lose someone that you love, it's going to have a profound effect on your life and whatever comes next, really. So I feel like it's a good space to kind of dispel these myths of being Superman and Superwoman, and the fact that you do have bad days when someone passes, you do have off days, you do have days when you're angry, you're not going to be yourself for a season. So it's good to be able to talk about it in an open place.